Are you ready? Here comes the ambulance guy.
We're going to talk about access is the new currency, folks. Is the new currency. You know, money, it kind of opens up doors for you. But when you have that true access, that opens up the future for you. That opens up the future. A lot of entrepreneurs, they ask me, you know, or they make the statement that, hey, we need money. That's what we need to operate. Well, yeah, you need money. You need money to operate. But guess what? If you had all the money in the world, but you didn't have access to the people, to the processes, to the things that they need in order to scale your business, you're not gonna go anywhere. You'll have that money, but you won't be able to go anywhere. And that's what I'm talking about tonight. You gotta have access. And as an elected official, right, who had to be elected to where he was doing, and as a CEO who had to fight for everything that we had to do in order to get to where we are today, and now to be have access into those secret rooms that nobody else is talking about. These are the things that we're gonna talk to you tonight about, guys, because tonight is the night. Is the night. If you ever thought about being a CEO, tonight is the night for you to understand how important it is for you to have these cheat codes. All right, we're gonna talk about these cheat codes, and we don't want to be walking around and looking all awkward. You know what I'm saying, and not knowing where to go and how to get those cheat codes. Let me ask you this. So, proximity. Proximity is greater than talent. What that mean? What does that mean? That means that where you're located, who's in the room with you, the people that are in the room, they matter more than what's being discussed, right? So it's just being in the room, guys. So being in the room is the new thing that you want to make sure you're in. I don't care where you're trying to scale to, where you're trying to go, what business you're in. If you're not in those main rooms when the decisions are being made, when the conversations are being had and your name is not being floated up, there's almost zero chance for you to scale like you want to. Almost zero chance for you to scale like you want to. Again, if you don't know who I am, I'm Alex Dunlap the third. I'm the president and CEO of ATC Ambulance. If you know any other ambulance company owners, raise your hand. All right, well, let you know that I'm in certain rooms that no, not too many people get a chance to get into. I get to talk to other elected officials that other people don't get that opportunity to talk to. I get to go in high power rooms where other folks don't get a chance to go into those rooms. So you need to be in those rooms, and why? Because that's where the decisions are being made. That's where even your name could have floated by. No matter what you're doing, your name could have floated by, but they're not in the room, right? So you don't get a chance to make the decision. You don't get a chance to be a part of the decision makers. You don't get a chance to have your name moved up the rankings because you are not in proximity. You're not in the places where those decisions are being made. You're not in the places where those names are being dropped, and you're not the consideration at all. You're not the consideration at all. So, how I found this information out? How did I find this out? I heard one day. This is prior to me getting into those rooms. I heard one day that my name was being dropped to be considered for an ambulance service. I heard that my name was being dropped, but I wasn't in that room. Hey Bruce, how you doing tonight? Lawrence, Phoenix, see all the in tonight. Didi, of course, my friend being there. I heard that my name was being dropped in a room, but I wasn't in there to say, "Yep, I can do it." Yeah, my crew is ready. Yeah, we need to have that contract, right? I wasn't in those rooms. I was not in those rooms. And then when we finally was able to navigate and figure out, hey, it's not really about all the money that you have. It's not. I mean, that's great. That comes along with it. But first, you have to have access to those rooms. Somebody, I almost had an argument with another CEO. I guess they were CEO. I don't know, but I'm clear on this now because again, when you're an elected official, you go in rooms that nobody else will go into. When you have a exclusive type of business or service, then you go into rooms that you don't need to go. I mean, you go into rooms that you may not necessarily have gone into. I sit with mayors, council folks, other way, and you have to. If you don't have that type of access, folks, then you really don't have what you need. Because do you know this? Do you know this being there? Do you know that elected officials, they have the ear of most folks around, right? And if you're not in those rooms, if you're not the consideration, then you won't scale like you want to. You may not even get a chance to open your business like you want to. You won't get those government contracts like you need to for the cities, states, and then worldwide government contracts. You won't get those opportunities to do that, right? You won't get the hey, welcome everybody, Phoenix. I see you in. Bruce Williams, I see you in. Hey, folks, we're talking tonight. We gonna have a fireside chat with the real CEO cheat codes tonight. That's why I have that title right there. Real CEO cheat codes. What do you mean? I'm in rooms that a lot of folks are not able to get into, right? I'm having conversations with people that a lot of folks don't have the opportunity to have conversations with those folks. I wasn't supposed to be on, folks, until until 8:30, but since I was testing my uh yeah, share it with me. Okay, yeah, since I had no problem, will do. Since I had was testing some of my some of my settings on this, I just went ahead and got started since I saw a few people coming in. But I wish TikTok would give you a chance just to really set, especially on this TikTok live studio on your desktop. And that's what I primarily use a lot of times because it's easier for me to operate and navigate. So that's what we're talking about tonight. The proximity. The people in the room matter more than what's being discussed. The people in that room matter more. Just think about this. Have you ever thought that you worked super hard, right? You worked extremely hard to get to a certain place you want, but you just couldn't move. I mean, you just didn't. For some reason, you just couldn't get your business moving, and it wasn't because people hadn't heard about you in a lot of cases, or they didn't know you existed, but you just never understood the importance of getting in those rooms and being able to have a force of being able to have your name mentioned when it come time to divvy out the assignments, divvy out the money, divvy out the access, divvy out the anything that you need in order to scale and move your business forward, right? So invisible initiatives. So most high level rooms don't have invitations. They just don't. Most of these high level rooms, they don't have like, hey, we're gonna send out a group of no. That's usually comes from the other folks that's in that room, and they invite you to come on in, right? If you don't have those connections and friends, then I can tell you it doesn't matter what your business is. Does not matter what your business is. And we're gonna talk about how do you get that, right? How do you get those relationships built? But if you don't have them, folks, you cannot. It's impossible for you to be able to make the type of money and the type of influence or whatever it is that you're looking to do if you don't get in those incremental rooms, right? Share. Make sure you share it to me. Share. Okay. Okay, I need to be able to show how to share this thing out. So we're gonna talk about more of that. We're gonna dig into more of that tonight. Yeah, I got 20 more minutes before I'm even supposed to be on. But man, y'all got me excited by jumping in the room so early. Y'all got me excited. Y'all got me excited by jumping in the room so quickly. All right, so here's another point. How do you get noticed by the gatekeepers? How do you always heard this term gatekeepers? How do you get noticed by the ones that are gatekeepers? Right? Come on in the room. You talking to you having a real fireside chat with the real CEO cheat codes. That's the only thing we dropping in here tonight. Now this channel is designed for a few things, right? For me to talk to you about business, for me to talk to you about AI and how AI is shaping those businesses. And then now tonight I'm dropping cheat codes, baby. I'm dropping cheat codes that you necessarily didn't know was important to know. Right? You heard about stuff like this, but I'm telling you, when you're in the room with other millionaires and billionaires and other decision makers, it's a difference. It makes a difference in your business. See, again, I'm the president and CEO of an ambulance company. And I can tell you this, there are not many folks that's in this business. It's just not. And the ones that are really large businesses, right? And then so my competition, in some cases, are a lot larger than I am. So I have to really, strategically position myself in a way that I have to get those contracts. Now, and I tell you, if you're not in those rooms, guys, if you don't know who the people to talk to, see some people that you need to talk to, they don't, yeah, you don't necessarily have access to that right away. You don't have access to that right away. How do you get that? How do you get noticed by the gatekeeper? How do you get noticed by the ones that's helping to make the decisions of whether or not you get a contract, or whether or not you get the business, or whether or not your name is floated up, or whether or not you get elected as an official? Because all that has some backroom stuff, folks. There's some stuff going on back in the back rooms for CEOs and other movers and shakers that a lot of folks just don't even consider, don't even think about. Everything has a political element to it. Everything has a political element. Now, how do you get noticed by the gatekeepers? Well, you have to show up where the influential people they hang out at. What do they hang out at? Where do the influential people hang out at? Well, I can tell you a few places. Number one, better get you to, I talk to people, well, I don't play golf. Well, you better get to a golf course. You better get to a golf course, because who you'll run into in a golf course, and this is for whether or not you play golf or not. But I would suggest that you play it. But whether or not you play golf or not, make sure you in there, because they have bars in those golf courses. They have bars that when they finish their rounds, they go sit there at the bar and they talk. And what's being discussed right then? What do you think is being discussed? Like I have gotten a contract sitting right at a bar at a golf course, right? So things, hey, well, my business, I don't know, I'm doing this, but I certainly would like to do this. And guess what? Bing, here I am on the spot. Say, you know what? I can fix that problem. And then automatically my name is being floated up through the ranks, right? And just in that alone. So something simple like a golf course. You may not be a smoker. But a cigar bar is another spot. I can't tell you how many owners and CEOs and everybody else that just kind of hang out. And these are places that they go because the day-to-day hustle of a CEO is so, and look, it's so strenuous during the days, during the weeks, that they have to have relief. And relief comes in the form of golf. It becomes in the form of massage therapy. It comes in the form of cigar clubs. Folks, you got to know where they are. If you cannot be in the proximity of them, then how you going to get the nod from them? How are you going to get the nod from them if you're not in the proximity? So you have to be in proximity of them. What else should you do? How else should you get noticed by the gatekeepers? Like this, look, I'm telling you some cheat codes, folks. When you implement what I'm talking about tonight, when you go execute on the stuff that I'm talking about, tomorrow morning, when you go execute, and I guarantee it's going to start you a whirlwind of promise that you've never seen before, things that you have never gotten into before. Now, where else should you go? Now, I can tell you right now, join some boards. Be a part of a board, right? Be a part of a board of something, right? So if you go to, for instance, a Chamber of Commerce, Chamber of Commerce is free. You have to pay a little money to get into a chamber. Some a little more. But don't just join a Chamber of Commerce. Join in it, and then make sure you jump on a committee. Why is that? Because the Chamber of Commerce has members in there, and the members that are in there are owners, right? And then I can tell you, I'm a part of 3 different chambers, right? Now, why? Because all of them scale differently. And I'm not just in one of them. One of them I'm the economic development chair for. And why is that? Because I want to make sure that if I'm the economic development chair, I can go speak to other folks that influence the economy. Huh? Right? So listen, I'm telling you, you gotta know what to do in order to move it forward. So, and you gotta expand yourself. You gotta expand yourself a lot different. You say, well, no, that's not really me. Well, I can tell you what, that ain't you. It need to be. It needs to be you. I guess I gotta start throwing some of these laughters and awkwards and stuff like that. But what I'm giving you It ain't funny if you don't execute. It's just not funny if you don't execute, right? So where else do you need to go? You need to volunteer. You need to volunteer for causes that other CEOs or folks with money and influence and power are passionate about. And you got to do some work, right? You got to do some research to figure out what are folks passionate about that are in the environment that you want to be in. That what can I do to make sure? And you have got to be that resource. Hey, KO, thanks for joining. I see you tonight. Man, look, you gotta definitely be willing to go outside of your whole comfort zone, guys. Because guess what? That awkwardness is what's gonna get you in those rooms. That I don't know if I fit around that. Now, listen. First of all, you have got to know that you deserve and that you fit in those rooms. You fit in those rooms. You deserve to be in those rooms, right? You worked hard in whatever you did, whether you're scaling the business or whether you just want to have influence and be in a room. I know some folks that actually don't own anything, but they are movers and shakers. They don't, but people are scared to make moves without discussing with them first, right? Why? Because they have enough of the population to say, hey, I don't know if that's a good idea to go with such and such and so, right? And when they do that, then that influences, and it's okay to have influence and power that if you don't even want your own business, it's okay to do that. But I tell you got to have it. But for those that's joining right now, we're doing some real CEO cheat codes tonight, right? I would talk about a lot of stuff to help you scale your business, but tonight I'm going to share with you how important it is for you to have access, not necessarily dollars, but access into rooms that not everybody knows that they need to be into. I'm on a few things of what how do you get noticed by the so-called gatekeepers, by the folks that influence, by the folks that make the big money moves. How do you get in? You gotta be in places where they are. It's a simple formula. You gotta be where they are. Do you go to the golf course? Do you play golf? If you don't, you should. You could be there. I know folks that just hang out at the golf course because they know that big money moves are being made and they're being discussed over cocktails. People, it's not you don't need to set up a big fancy meeting. I can tell you, I've gotten contracts just by just sitting next to a guy. We talking him. Yeah, really, I can fix that problem, and that's where it comes in. You got to be the one that can fix it. I can fix that problem, right? Not a problem. Do you go to a cigar club? Well, I don't like smoking. I get it. Well, make sure you go on the days that you can sit outside. But you're gonna run into some influencers because God, why? CEOs, money movers, things like that. They have to do things that just get the stress off their back, right? And how do they do that? They got to go to places like that. They go to massage there. You got to understand where to get the gatekeepers at. The gatekeepers, the ones that can mention your name, or the ones that can keep your name out of folks' mouth. If you want to move and scale. Now you got to also volunteer for some stuff. Got to volunteer. You got to be in the community. A lot of people don't tell you this, but you have to. You got to be in the community. If you're not a resource for others, then you're not really going to move the needle forward at all. You have got to be as a powerful and influencing person. You have got to be a resource for others. And I can see one of my friends out there. She is just that. She is a resource for others. And then at some point, yeah, you're gonna monetize it. You actually get money from it. But you got to be a resource for folks. Before you even expect a dollar. Right? Before you expect a dollar, because you want your name mentioned in bigger circles. You can scale from $0 to $1 million, and you can do it pretty easy. You can do it pretty easy if you follow some of the things I'm talking about. The most important thing for a new entrepreneur or anybody in business is not the dollars. It's not how many dollars you get. You say, well, I need dollars to start my business. Yeah, you do. But if you had all the dollars in the world, but nobody knew your name and nobody announced you and said that you are the one that can actually perform this task or do this job, or we should give you the contract, or we should talk to this person, then you won't go. You won't go anywhere. You may be experiencing some of that right now. I'm telling you, you may be experiencing some of that right now. You want cheat codes. Who's going to tell you something? See, when I got into business, nobody told me nothing. Nobody told me a thing. I had to knock my head up against all the brick walls, right? And then some more brick walls, and then just a few more brick walls. Boom. And finally, I woke up and said, you know what? It's some secrets to this stuff, and I need to know what those are, right? If you don't know the secrets, folks, in order to scale your business, or do whatever it is, then you're gonna fight this game. Where else can you find the gate? Where else can you find the gatekeepers? Community events. Some of them. Some of us CEOs, we have things that are important to us, right? Things that we do, and as an elected official as well, of a school corporation, I love things that's concerning children. So if somebody can come to me with a solution, if somebody can come to me with something that I'm passionate about, making sure that the kids drive up, then it's very easy for me to say, okay, all right, let me first of all, let me check your credentials, make sure you're okay. But then, hey, well, now this person should be in there doing this contract. And guess what? School corporations have $1 million contracts. Even with your business, I don't care what your business is. There's a lot of things, school resources that school corporations need. Right? They need folks that may be able to teach and train the trainers, or in other words, teach teachers on certain things. There's a food services that we have. There's all sort of services that where we need every business that exists. School corporations got to have it. But we also love when people just donate time. And so, oh, you donated so much time. You might be the one that you have that type of business. Great, that we can get that implemented, right? We go from everything from lawyers down to just if you're selling toilet paper. Believe it or not, believe it or not. And do you know you can get $1 million contracts with school corporations selling toilet paper? I'm not telling you to go into the toilet paper game, but I'm just trying to expand your mind a little bit. You got to be in the room with the influencers. You got to be where folks need you. You got to be, if you never thought about where are the other things that now I gotta tell you, I need you, homework is that you need to go out and figure out where some other folks at. Join the Chamber of Commerce wherever you are. Join your Chamber of Commerce and know that there are probably about 3, 4, 5 of them around. Some of them they dedicated to doing different things. So make sure you join them, and don't just join, but make sure you get on a committee. And if you can, lead a committee. Lead a committee. Why? Let me give you some other secret stuff. Some of these chambers are in position to get grant dollars. And these grant dollars have to be distributed to their members, right? And if you have grant dollars that need to be distributed to your members, and if you're the one that's in position, then maybe some of those grant dollars might go to you. Right? Now, you know what grant dollars are, right? Grant dollars are those that you don't have to pay back. That's free money, right? As long as you're providing a valuable service and there's grant money in your position to get it, then grant money is what you want, baby. Grant money is what you want, right? Grant money is what you want. I was able to secure some, I ain't gonna share no dollars, but I was able to secure some significant grant money, right? Sometimes people want a shiny business, but it's the ugly business that can keep, yeah, exactly. KO is right on. See, the very first thought of folks going into business is that all the glory that they can see. I can tell you as a business owner, there's a lot more times when it's not glorious. It's just a lot more times, right? Ultimately, if you don't have yourself in a mindset, right, the framework, a CEO mindset, to know that there are a lot of downs. The ups are great, but there are a lot of downs. And as you first start your business, you may have to decide whether or not you're gonna get a paycheck that week, or you got to pay one of the bills for the business. Those are the things that come with being an entrepreneur, especially when you first start out, right? So when you get a hold of that, guys, I'm telling you, cheat codes are these. These are things that you may not hear other business owners telling you, because a lot of folks, they really want to gatekeep. They really think that if I tell you this, then you're gonna take over the role that I am. But that's not true. That's not true. I don't think I have competition. I just don't. And why? Because I make a niche in where I am, right? And when you make that niche in where you are, then there's plenty of room. You'll see that there's plenty of room for everybody else. There's plenty of room for everybody else, and most importantly, you. Yeah. But the way that the world is set up, is that you have got to be in position, right? And your name has got to be mentioned, and it's going to be in those hidden rooms that you're not looking at. Jessica, thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing out the populace. You are not going to be able to make the impact and be an influencer that you want to be without your name getting in those rooms. The CEO mindset is a closed rooms. It's for closed rooms. It really is, guys. CEOs don't talk about how. They talk about who. They talk about why, and then what happens if we don't. Right. So if you're not the one that who that they're mentioning, right? Then you can just shut the door. You might be wildly successful in what you do, but there are other rooms, man. If you have visions, and I tell everybody, no, I don't care what you think your number is that you want to get to, you need to 10x that in your mind, because those low expectations you might easily reach them, but then you need to go further. You need to get a 10x. You need to 10x that idea, 10x that movement, 10x your scale, 10x where you're going to move next, 10x the amount of product or the scale of the product or the packaging of the product that you're going to do. 10x that in your mind, because those low numbers you'll easily reach, and then you look back. I remember when I thought $100,000 was a lot of money. I remember that. And until you reach it. I remember when I thought having $1 million in the company was a really big number. It was until you reach it. So I'm telling you, so those numbers, man, you got to expand your brain, expand your mind, allow yourself to look. If you are the one that had the vision for your job, for your company, for your product, for your service, whatever it is, if you're the one that had the vision for it, then I'm here to encourage you that you need to expand your thought on it. You need to expand. It needs to be a 10x of that. So whatever that number is that you came up with, and you're about to go into another January, you're about to go into it. You on TikTok, whatever that number is, you have a number in your head. Well, I'm telling you right now, 10x it. The number of people that you want to impact, the number of the people that you want to get on, 10x it, 10x it. I enjoy getting on TikTok because it's more therapeutic, and it allows me just to express some things too, and then I don't mind sharing some secret stuff, right? So I don't mind doing that. But 10x any idea that you have, 10x any number that you want to get to, 10x it, because those lower numbers, when you reach them, you're gonna be like, well, what's next anyway? I'm telling you, give yourself stretch yourself, right? The CEO mindset. Break down the difference between employees versus the executive thinking mindset, right? A lot of folks go into business, and that's why I'm telling you about this. And then what they have done is actually bought another job, right? They say, I'm getting away from corporate America. Yeah, okay, great. But then next thing you know, you're the main employee in your business, right? Why? Because you're not doing what a true CEO is. A true CEO is the one that's supposed to be thinking about the expansion of the business, thinking about how we go next, how do we move, how do we scale, who do we need to impact, do we even need to merge with somebody? We need to really think forward, right? And then when you're a player in your business to the point where you're the one that's doing everything, you're like I was when I first started. I was a driver, I was a dispatcher, I was an accountant, I was the HR. Name the function. I was that, right? And that gave me zero time to think about how we can scale the business, because I was too busy fighting the day-to-day rat race, right? And many of you may be facing the same thing, right? Running a rat race day to day. So you bought yourself, congratulations, you done bought yourself a job, right? You bought yourself a job, not a business, right? You bought yourself a job and not a business. right? So look, it's always my job when I talk to other CEOs is this. It's either I'm gonna do one or two things. One, I'm gonna run you completely away from being an entrepreneur. One, just run you completely away from it. Or two, I'm going to show you all the things that you need to consider and know, and then I'm going to encourage you that this is the path you need to be on. I would now, just to say this, I would encourage anybody to own their own business. But you gotta know some things. You gotta know some cheat codes. You gotta know what it's going to take in order to scale. You gotta know it's going to be a lot of down days, a lot of down days. You gotta know that, and so you gotta know that you gotta have some resolve in you in order to be able to push forward and get through that. Right? You gotta have some resolve and push forward and do that. So what else we talking about with that? So how to make people want you in the room. And that wouldn't that, and since I'm talking about getting in the room, wouldn't it be important to know how you can get people to want you in the room? I mean, I don't when I think about the things that I influence, right? I'm president of 3 different organizations. Uh, I'm the secretary of another organization at a university. I'm the way too many, way too many things, right? But all of that's by design. All of it is by design, right? You have to be in the places where the decisions are being made, right? So, how to make people want you in those rooms where they are almost afraid to make a decision without checking with you, right? Wouldn't that be a wonderful position to be in where they're almost afraid to even think about moving or saying and doing it, making a move without checking with you first? Right. So when in the city close to where I am, I spoke to the mayor and I said, you know what? He asked me. He said, well, there's an organization that has an ambulance company in another city, neighboring city, and he was wanting to talk to me. And I looked at him. I said, well, before that happens, if you guys decide to do anything different with that city, I want the whole contract. You know that, right? He said, yes, I know that, right? But by him even asking me or talking to me about the other company in the neighboring city, that's what you want. That's the position you need to be in, right? Now, how do you get in that position? How do you get in that position, right? You got to bring solutions and not complaints, right? You got to be the solution one. Remember I told you when I'm sitting next to somebody in a bar at a golf course and they're talking about how their businesses, they're not getting what they need, boom, boom. And I am the one to say, yep, I got that solved. Let's talk tomorrow. I got the fix for you, right? That's who you need to be. That's the mind of a CEO. There's never a no. You may not even have everything in place right now to execute what you need to, but there's never a no. It's always okay. Well, let me get back to you and see how we are going to move some things around and make sure that happens. Right? That's the position you need to be in. That's the position you want to be in because those are the ways that the folks who are making decisions, they will make sure that you are invited to the table. Right? Okay, be the calmest voice in the room too. In other words, when all hell breaking loose in the room, right? So when you go in some of these high power rooms, they're there a lot of times because something's broken, they got to get fixed, right? When you come in there first of all with the one that bringing solutions, you know, and then whenever you're talking, then you're the calmest one in the room with the calmest voice. So you got the solution. Say, hey guys, listen. I've listened to what's going on in the room, and here's what I think we should do. All right. I think we should execute boom, 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 and then bring you, John, you, Mary, Sam, all of you together. And then what we will do is, and if you're that voice, oh boy, if you're that voice, they want that voice in the room because they know there's a lot of egos in CEOs, a lot of egos, right? But if you can somehow or another manage to be that calm voice, then they want you in the room. They know when all hell break loose, then we can turn to Alex and say, okay, all right, Alex, with all that's going on, what do you suggest? And that's what you want. That's what you want. CEO cheat codes only, baby. That's it. That's what you want to know. I haven't hit a whole lot of laughs and claps and all like that, but I'm hoping I hope I'm providing you with a lot of value. I don't see a lot of talking in the chat either. Maybe it's because you're just listening, but go ahead. If you got something that you want to talk to me about, yesterday I had a fun time. I think it was yesterday. And I made a mistake, as I often do on TikTok, and I hit a button, and I brought a person up on the screen with me, and she said, "Well, nothing is done by accident." And so since I hear you, I hear you, KO, I got you. Thank you, man. So nothing is done by accident. So I called her up, and then when I started to talk to her about business, and she was a singer, singing new music. Well, it just so happens that I have a daughter that sings neo music, and she sings. She's traveled over the globe to do it. So she get to talking me, so I asked her, "How do you know anything about the business of music, right? Because what can happen, and just to win anything, that's why it's so important what I'm talking about tonight. What can happen in any business is that the politics of it, that the business of it, can drown out your passion and love for it, right? So if she didn't know business end of it, then what's going to happen is that she's going to think everybody's going to be happy and love. See, usually when you're a singer like that, you're a creative, right? And being a creative, your heart is usually attached to a lot of things, and you hope that people can feel, your passion in what you do. And being that creative, a lot of times creatives are not really good with the economics and with the business of it, right? Because they just want you to they just want you to enjoy and appreciate their craft. But when I talked to her and finished up with her, I said, okay, listen, if you're serious, I know I have a family member who owns an agency for television and film, right? I said, I can suggest your name to them, and they can see if they have somebody in the music industry that may be able to help you, right? So that was a help. So that was just on the spur of the moment kind of thing. So she's supposed to send me her email, and so because I told her don't send me your phone number, right? Because you don't know me so just send me an email that's easy, and I can float that on over, right? And be careful too out there, folks, because this is TikTok. There's a billion folks, and you think all of us sane? You think everybody's got you think everybody's sane? They're not. They're not. Where's my laughter thing? I want laughter. Oh yeah, that's what it was. I was so scrolled up too far. That was funny. I think I need to add to that. Okay, that was funny. All right, cool. So, but yeah, but I was able to help her. So I kind of like that part. So I might have some sessions where I open it up a little bit, where let folks come on up and say, hey, talk about that business, and I'll be able to help them, because there's nothing I haven't seen. I'm in the rooms with billionaires. I'm in the room with extreme millionaires. I'm in the room with politicians who know you don't even need to have all that money to be an influencer, right? You don't even need to have all that money. But if that's your desire and your goal, then I got to tell you what you got to do to get in that room. So here we go. Bring solutions. That's what I said that already. Calm, be the calm in the storm. Be that calm voice. Carry receipts. Carry receipts. That's just a term now to say, hey, show your proof, show your work, right? Now, how do you show your work if you're not completely in position to prove it, right? How do you show your work if you're not in complete? You have got to convince. First off, put the work in. First off, put the work in, because all the stuff that I told you before, getting in front of people, making sure you donate some of your time, some of your talents to things, being calm, go to some of these rooms and social areas where these influencers are. Make sure you get in there and do all that. But while you're doing that, you're making sure you're doing your work. You're making sure that whatever you're the expert in, you are the expert. They need to know that you are the expert in that. So you need to carry receipts of how you change something, how you move the needle here, how you improve something, how you, hey, you may not have the largest service, or you may not have the whatever it is that you do. You may not have the pinnacle of what that is, but you need to show receipts, and then that work needs to be excellent. That work needs to be excellent, right? That way, it's easier for your name to be floated amongst all of the other names. So your work needs to be excellent. So carry receipts with you. Oh no, so hey, oh yeah, so I'm the Oh yeah, Alex. Yeah, what do you do? Well, hey, I've already I have one of the top services in Northwest in my area, Northwest Indiana. I have secured contracts with just about every nursing home, every hospital and municipality. And with that, we've scaled. And only thing we need to do is talk about what we need to do right now in order to move it forward and handle whatever situation we're talking about right now. So have receipts, have excellent receipts too. Have excellent receipts. Now, master rare skills, right? I talk a lot about AI. Talk a lot about AI, but master rare skills. If whatever in your field you are in, if you can implement AI, well, let me restate that. You should implement AI in whatever you're doing, right? It will enhance what you're doing. I guarantee it. I don't care what the position is, what the role is, what the job is, whatever it is. I guarantee you increase. I guarantee you increase. All right. So data. Make sure you can parse data well. You can you understand policies, your operations. You just are a resource that folks cannot. You're just you're the pinnacle of that. Who does anybody know? Let me see. Anybody that can really get down deep into this data? Yeah, I do. Ko, she was really good at that. So we got to get her to the table. That's what you want. Billionaire Blue, she's got to come to the table because when it come down to understanding TikTok and everything else, we got to have her at the table. She has this real skill that we need. We got to have it at the table, right? We're looking at Jesse's Emporium. Jesse's Emporium, hey, when you go and check out that, whatever that is, the Emporium, there are no other emporiums out there that's better. so, so look, you got to have that. So all of you, make sure you're excellent in just whatever you're in. It's almost like saying, master one thing, right? Master it, then you can start layering on the other things. You have a lot of CEOs or something that tell you need to have 4, 5, 7 streams of income. But some of the smarter ones will tell you make sure you master one thing first, and then you can start layering on the other things, right? Your unique access advantage. Look, as an ambulance CEO, um, and as and color doesn't have anything a whole lot to do with it, but I'm one of the only African American CEO owners of an ambulance company. You may find others, right? But you won't stumble on them as readily as you find me on here, right? So with that rare company alone, right? Just that rare company alone puts me in different positions. Elected officials, folks call me all the time, right? Whether or not it's for, and sometimes it's not even related to what I do, right? But if you can prove that you are calm in a storm, if you can prove that you're a voice that reasons well and knows what they're talking about, then folks will call you for just about anything. Hey, do you know of anybody that can do X, Y, and Z? And guess what? If I know you, KO, and I know that you can do that, and somebody came all off the cuff and asked me, they do what you do? You're an HR generalist, right? Do you know anybody who can do that? Because I'm looking for somebody to come in and run my benefits program, and then I just, and it's all over the place. I think I may have a consultant for you, and then I can relay your name, right? And those are the things you want to make sure that you're in position to do, guys. Those are the things that you want to make sure that folks can mention your name, and you're that calm in the storm, right? Yeah. That's what you want. That's what you want. Yeah. And as an AI consultant, right? See, I understand this. And here's another thing: you need to understand the shifts that are going on. That the movement of the country, the movement of the world, the movement of what's going on is different, right? If you don't understand how AI is impacting everything, then you might get left behind, just like some of those other big name companies that you used to know, big name restaurants that used to exist that you no longer can eat at, just because they didn't follow along with the moving trends, right? They just didn't keep up. And you don't want to be that person not. Because when somebody's considering you to be in that inner circle, in the inner room, they need to know that you're a visionary too. They need to know that you are somebody who understands the times are changing, and that, hey, how can we, implement these types of things with fidelity? How can we move that needle forward the way that we do, right? How do we make that happen? So you have to be you have to have that unique advantage, right? You have to be that one that understands whatever level you are, but you have to be a visionary. Now this stuff is not easy for folks that don't want to do the work, right? That don't want to do the work. But if you have dreams of your business going, or you have dreams of leaving corporate America just to start what you want to, and I'm telling you what this is, it's not difficult. It's going to require you to do the work. It's not difficult. It's going to require you to do the work. If I had known this stuff before I had gotten out of, let's say I retired out of corporate America, I was in corporate America for 23 years. I was over an IT department. I had global responsibility. But I knew that if I didn't make a change and get out of corporate America, then they was going to make a decision for me at some point, because they have to, right? They at some point they have to cut enough heads to show what they call productivity, right? And productivity is just a fancy term for saying we got rid of some low hanging fruit. That's it. We got rid of some low hanging fruit to the point where, hey, stakeholders, stockholders, look, we were able to lower the bottom line. We got that, and then we were able to actually make some additional sales. So we were able to raise the top line, but we were able to cut and reduce the bottom line. Yeah. So now we can give you a dividend back to your company, right? Now we can scale. Now we can make you feel good about staying with the company. Hey Nelly, how you doing? Thanks for joining. And so those are the things that you need to know when you try to scale, or when you try to come out and join and do your own business. Now, one, you don't want to buy yourself another job by getting into business saying, hey, I'm an owner now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you could have just as easily stayed in corporate America or wherever you were and worked a job if that's the only thing you're doing is coming out being a true worker. Hey Steve, thanks for joining. Now, so that's the thing here, corporate America. Corporate America is a fun place to be, and I got my I got my chops in corporate America, right? I did learn a lot. I did learn a lot, and I would encourage anybody stay in wherever you are until you learn enough, and then when you come out, everything that you learn that they paid you and taught you to do, right? Then you use all of that, but don't leave out beforehand. Don't leave out before you having in your mind that you'll be able to use some of that stuff, because I wouldn't have ever been able to sustain what I was doing without the time that I spent in corporate America. It really prepared me. And now it was some other stuff that I just didn't know, right? But to bump my head along the road. But if you want to know some of the things that can help you to understand why, you don't have to go through what I have to go through. You don't have to do it. Good evening from Dallas. Hey Pam Pam. Good evening. Thank you for joining. We are talking about CEO cheat codes. We're trying to tell you some of the stuff that CEOs just don't normally talk about, right? And why am I qualified? How am I even qualified to even talk about this? Well, I'm the president and CEO of an ambulance company. I'm also the founder of an AI company, an AI consulting company. I'm also an elected official. So I have access to things that a lot of folks just don't have access to. And I freely am sharing some of these cheat codes, and I'm telling you what you need to do if you want to have a business, or if you want to just move up in life where you are now and be an influencer. I can tell you how to do all of that. And that's some of the things I'm dropping while I'm on here. So thank you for joining from Dallas, Texas. Dallas is on the move. Dallas on just Texas in general. They're becoming one of the tech hubs. It's really cool what's going on. Yep. Pam, are you in tech, or what kind of role are you in? I'll let you suggest to pay that when you get that, because tech is. I was I did 23 years in IT, 23 years in corporate American IT. and I can see a full circle with this when it, with respects to AI, how it's really coming full circle. You remember how some of you ain't old as me, but back in the day we used to have all the computers in a storage room. Educated, all right. Well, I'm elected president of the school board here where I am. So fantastic. So um, so there used to be big rooms full of computers, right? And in the and it used to be climate control. Hey, retirement is you look. And hey, I will say this to you. You probably got out just in time, so you have to deal with the parents. I don't even necessarily know if it's the kids now. It's more the parents, right? So the parents are quite different than when I was oh, in 2015. Okay, yeah. So, all right. So my mom was a principal at two high schools, and then she did some work, and then like an corporate environment as well. But she did special education for years, and my little sister does special education. She's a special education teacher. So you love children, yeah, fantastic. You got to. I mean, kids they are sometimes victims of their environment, and what I find now is that we have more grandparents and great grandparents that are raising these kids that are in our school system. That lets you know there's a breakdown right now. uh, it's a serious breakdown. So the kids, they test every avenue they can, right? So when you have a grandparent or a great grandparent, it's going to be a little easier for you to get away with stuff than than when we coming up, But absolutely. So those are the things that those so big computers in a room, right? We are coming almost full circle back, right? Because now with all this AI conversation, do you know that the power that it uses and the heat that it generates, you're gonna see a lot of a lot of rooms again now being filled. We have a lot of data centers going up all over the country now, all over the world, and these data centers have to be cooled down. And so now you're going to see the same thing that we used to experience when, back in the day when I was in computers, where we had all the stuff in the room, climate controlled, all that. So you kind of almost going back to that. But on top of that, right on your very own phone, you have all those chat GPTs and perplexities and groks and just about everything sitting on your phone, that you have more capability on your cell phone than what they had when they sent out the first spaceship, the first lunar space rocket. That we have more power on our cell phones than what they had to implement that. What do I think about AI? I am an AI consultant, so I have I have a lot of thoughts about AI. Right, number one is it's the biggest thing that we have ever seen from a technology standpoint that this world has ever seen. Now, what does that mean? I think that we are jumping in it so fast that some of it we got to be careful for, right? Because you got to implement this stuff with fidelity. But I can tell you that it's not going to stop, Pam. It is not going to stop. So our teachers, our administrators, you'll appreciate this in education. The children already know this stuff, right? They already know it. So instead of us trying to figure out how to stop them from doing what the entire world is in movement to do, then we need to understand how we can make sure that our teachers and administrators and everybody is implementing this stuff with fidelity. That's it. Because it's not going anywhere. It's influence. Do you know every major company in the world has an AI initiative? AI initiative. So it's not going anywhere. In fact, aren't we supposed to be training people in school and then send them off to college to learn and to what? To then to go into the workforce, where every workforce is going to have AI implemented. Yeah. If every workforce is having AI implemented, then we need to make sure that we're producing people and young folks that come out of school that are ready to compete globally, right? So that's my short spiel on it. But I do a lot of AI training. I just trained about 20 25 entrepreneurs on how to use just Chat GPT, and that's just one application, right? That's just one application. So that's what I think about. You got to really be careful because of security and other risks that you may have because it's just been implemented. And I can tell you, ChatGPT has been every week. I see an update. It's about every week. I open it up and like, oh, look at this. It's something new that they've implemented into it. So it's moving, and other apps are moving. It's so many. I have a tech stack of about I don't know 20 or 30 different apps that I work with, right? And that's just too many. I'm looking for the day when they pare it down a little bit more. Hey, Mr. Skeety, how you doing tonight? Great for joining. Thanks for joining. So, but that's what I think about Pam. So, what do you think about it? I know you got to type. There's a whole lot of typing to do. Uh, but that's my spiel on it. That's my spiel on it. Yes, indeed. Now, as for now, the challenge for the audience, right? What room do you want to be in for the next year, right? What rooms do you want to be in? Do you want to be in those rooms where you are operating as an influencer, or do you want to be in a room where folks are saying, "Hey, well, there Pam is right there. Pam needs to be the one that does this because number one, she's already proven that she can do it. She's a calm voice when it comes down and making sure this happens. She already has receipts of being a proven a proven executive or a proven one that has all of the insights when it comes down to making the moves. So yeah, Pam needs to be in that. So that's what I'm talking about. You have got to be in those rooms, guys. You got to be in those rooms. Those are important. If you didn't know that by now, I'm telling you, there are rooms. I can tell you right now, Jesse, there are rooms that your name was mentioned, but since you didn't have access and since you wasn't in there, then somebody else got the bid. Somebody else got the contract. Somebody else got the mention. Somebody else was able to get that job, whatever it is. And the same thing happens in corporate America, right? If you're there, let's say you're up for a new role. You are up for a new role. And you and John and Sally and Jim all up for the role. Now, the brown nose of Jim or Sally or whatever, you find that they are, they get the job. Well, you call them a brown nose or why? Because you're not willing to go in and understand what it is that CEO or whoever it is that decision maker to move you on to the next level. Do you know when I was in corporate America, when I wanted to move from job to job, I asked this one question. I said, okay, now I'm in my interview, and I said this. I said, okay, great. I understand the role. I know what the role requires. I said, but what would I have done at the end of the year that would force you to give me the highest rating that you want to give? Number one, I'm trying to let them know that I am willing to put in the work to get the highest rating that can be had, so the dollars can go up. Number one, and number two, it's not just about me, right? It's about that CEO. It's about that person that say, hey, how can you move forward? See, and that's why as a CEO now, as a CEO, Walber, thank you for joining. As a CEO now, I appreciate that type of conversation from people because I do not hire people. Listen to this. Here's another cheat code. I don't hire anybody that when I sit across from them, I don't think that if the roles were reversed, that I couldn't work for them. Let me say it a different way. If I don't feel like I could work for that person, then I don't hire them. Does that make sense? Because now I have a company and I have a vision, I have a goal, I think I got places to go. So I need people that are locked in like I am. I need people, now they don't have the full vision like me, but I need people locked in like that. I need people to understand that look, if the roles were reversed, then I can easily work for you. Right? Then I know I'm putting my stuff in some real good hands at that point, right? That's how I operate. So I want you to think about that. And no matter what role you're in, let's say you're still in corporate America, you're still working. Think about that. And then think about the quality of person that you get if you can think about it like that, right? You might have to go through a bunch of people. You might have to go through a bunch of people before you get there, but the quality of the person that you're going to hire should be a very high quality person, right? And KO knows this. As when you're setting up formats, when you're using the way that you want to hire folks. First off, it used to be just question and answer, but now you're doing some. Now you're digging deeper into the personality of a person, right? You having you asking the questions multiple different times just to catch them up to see if they really who they are, right? So you send them through the personality questionnaire kind of thing. You don't just sit across from them and say, hey, well, how do you think you can help the company, right? You don't get much out of that because everybody knows how to get through that. But then you send them to this personality thing where it allows them to go through, ask all the different questions, and then they ask the same question 3 or 4 different times before they end. Uh, so because you're really trying to get down to the character of the person, right? And not just the cookie cutter answers that you get. So you do not hire or do not whatever. Don't hire anybody or don't let nobody else hire anybody that you don't feel like you could work for, because now you're jeopardizing the type of person that you want in your business. And then you got to have a vision of what it is. What do you stand for? What do you stand for? What do you stand for? What does your company stand for? When they mention ATC Ambulance, which is the name of my company, what do I want them to know about that? Just by the mere mention of ATC Ambulance, what do I want them to know? Number one, my company motto is neighbors caring for neighbors. Simple motto: neighbors caring for neighbors. That just simply means that my folks, they work in the neighborhoods of the people that they service, right? So you picking up Miss Jones, you've been knowing Miss Jones for all your life, most part. So a neighbor is picking up another neighbor. So that's what you want to do. So guys, take that. If you don't take nothing else, take that part away too. Hire, put people around you that are that you feel like you could be able to work for. Now, that's what you want in your business. That's what you want in your business, right? Now I'm still on this. I'm still on these cheat codes, man. I'm still on these cheat codes. What room do you want to be in the next year, right? Whose attention do you need to earn to be in there? And that's another thing. You got to know who the influencers are. So you got to be in position, first of all, to where are they? Where are they hanging out at? Right? Where are they? How do you get access to them? Right? How does that happen? You might have to go through one person to go through. Now you might be able to go, hey, well, you know what? You ran across somebody that's somebody's dog trainer, and they got access, right? You might you might have found out that's somebody's old school teacher, all right? That, oh, I know them and that X, Y, and Z. So you may have to leverage some of those things that you may not have necessarily thought, but you want to make sure that you understand where you want to go, and then how do you get the attention of those folks, right? Because you want to be in those rooms. You got to be in those rooms. What are you doing consistently that proves you belong in the room, right? What are you doing consistently that you prove that you belong to be in the room? I'm involved in a lot of different things on purpose. I'm involved in a lot of different things on purpose. So some of that time is not going to be paid time that you have to spend. You got to spend a lot of time that ain't paid to make sure that you are the name that is mentioned to be in those rooms, right? You gotta get there, right? You need to be the one to get there. Okay, so all right, what are you doing consistently to do that? What are you doing consistently to build that? All right, what are you doing? Now I love this stuff because I haven't I was never afforded that. I was never afforded the opportunity to know these things, right? So this comes from blood, sweat, and tears to be able to share with you some of the cheat codes I got. So for the rest of this week, I'm gonna be dropping CEO cheat codes. Tonight we just talking about the rooms, the access, the rooms that you need to be in, and how you get in there. How do you get in those rooms? And what's in them rooms when you get in there? Well, if you ain't in there, you don't know. If you're not in those rooms, you will never know. You will never know that your name was mentioned, but then just passed over. You would never know it. You would never know that another opportunity came up and that you were passed over because nobody knew your name, right? You would never, hey Eve, how you doing? You would never know those things. So, Eve, good evening. Eve is one of my friends now. She's one of my new friends now. GFC. If you guys do not have an agency, then you want GFC. You want to get with Eve. So click on her. Make sure. Eve, we just dropping some knowledge tonight. We dropping some CEO knowledge tonight, and we're talk about the access that you need to have in order to get into the room. See, you can't just you can't hope. You can't hope that your business is gonna scale. You can't hope that people are gonna recognize and know who you are. You can't hope. You got to make sure you get into the room, right? And once you get in the room, you got to stay in the room. How do you get access to those rooms? How do you get access to the room? You have got to be active, just like on TikTok, right? There's no way for you to scale, and I'm just learning this as a new TikToker. See, I'm glad that this is not my only business, because I'd be sucking right now, right? So and I don't want to be sucking. So anyway, I'm in here and I'm trying to scale and things like that. That's why I'm gonna get with Miss Eve right here. So she gonna help me fix all this up, right? So where I'm lacking, she gonna fix me up. So great, I'm on point for that. But I do know business, right? I do know business. I scaled a business from 0 to 7+ figures. How? Now, first of all, I'm in an industry that not many people are in, right? I'm in an industry. I own an ambulance service, so not many people are in there. And even with me being a CEO of an ambulance company, another thing, not many African Americans are in it, guys. It's just not many, not many. But I am in there, right? So I'm here, and then what I'm going to do is help other folks scale, right? Help other folks, because I can implement. It doesn't make a difference what your business is. I can help you scale to 7 figures because I know business, right? And I know that first off, you gotta be in the room. Your name's got to be mentioned when they have a project, when they have a new when they have a new contract that they want to give out. You got to be in the mention. You got to be in the mention for that, guys. If you're not in the mention for it, then you won't get it. And how do you get access to those rooms? How do you get access to those rooms? You got to be in the places where they're at. You got to make sure you visit some. Like I said before, you got to get it. You better get into those golf courses, right? I don't play golf. Well, I know a lot of people sitting around golf courses that don't play golf, but they know that there's some powerful, influencing people that's sitting around in there. And I've sat next to one where I talked about it and say, hey, you know what? I can fix that for you. Boom, contract, right? I go to cigar clubs, right? And next thing you know, well, who are you? Well, I just own a trucking company, and we're in multiple states, and we need help. Yeah, we do. I know you do. So you need help, and I'm the one that can help you. See, there's never a no from me. There's always, okay, well, how can I figure this out? Not telling them that, but I'm always on the end of let's go figure it out. And I'm the voice, right? And if I'm not the one that actually can do it, then your name better be in my mouth. So I can say, okay, well, no, I know exactly, because I want to be the connector too, right? I want to be the one that say, well, I don't know where to go. What does Alex think? I need to be that voice, right? And that's where you want to be, guys, because that's where the influence and the power and the motivation is. And guess what? I'm also an elected official. Now that's crazy, right? That is crazy. An elected official. I'm the first African American man elected to the school board of where I'm school, and I'm the president, right? So now, what does all of that mean for? What are you doing all that for? Because I need to be the voice in the room making the decisions. There shouldn't be nothing move. There shouldn't be nothing moving without me moving it, right? And the same way with you. What do you want? You want 7 figures? You want 8-figure business? What do you want, right? Well, you need to make sure that you're in the room with folks that do that. And I'll tell you this too. I know I'm not good at TikTok right now, right? I know I'm not good at it. So I need to go to somebody like Eve, right? And why do I need to do that? Because I tell everybody you need to have 2 mentors in your world. 2 mentors. What is the first? The first mentor is in your business that you're in. Whatever business that you're doing, you need to have a mentor in that. And why? Because that mentor understands that business, right? They can tell you about the pitfalls. They can tell you about some of the things you need to do. The second mentor, I tell you, should be outside of the scope of your business. And why is that? Why is that? Because that second mentor doesn't know a thing necessarily about your specific business, but can help you think differently about how you do it, right? Completely different. Yeah, you're going to have TikTok down in no time. Thanks, Kato. I'm sure I will. I got Miss Eve over there. So, and here's the thing. So that second mentor, I guess, and once you talk about something you're passionate about, it's easy, right? But that second mentor, that when I talk to folks, just like I talked to a young lady yesterday that popped up on my thing yesterday, and she was just in music and business. One thing I do know about is you need to understand the business of whatever it is that you're in, right? If you don't understand the business component, people get over on you. People get over on you. You don't want that, right? People get over on you. And I mentioned to her, and maybe you don't know this, but Ray Charles was the very first person, at least of African American descent, was the first one to own his own musical masters. That was a phenomenal. First of all, the man was blind. But he was smart enough in business to know that you have to control your destiny, right? And if you don't control your destiny, you look, you're gonna fall for anything. Now you've heard all the stories, right, about all these other artists that didn't make any money, right? The people that were signing the contracts, all the agents was taking money, talking about, well, we took you on tour, right? I just saw a story about the New Edition story. Anybody that knows New Edition, I'm sure a few of you do. So, and that's important, folks, to know. You have to. It's incredible that you have the two mentors, right? So to think about that in your business, think about that in your growth, think about that whatever it is. So somebody can think about completely a different side of the business. They can throw out some stuff on the wall, and you be like, okay, yeah, I never thought of it like that because I'm not hindered by the stuff that you already know are problems, right? That's what that second mentor's problem is. Right? Rest in peace, Ray Charles. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Rest in peace. Thank you so much. And look, so with that being the case, guys, get in the rooms. Get in the rooms. Get in. Where are you going? Where do you want to be? Get in those rooms. How do you get in those rooms? Make sure that you get to understand where the gatekeepers are. Right? Sometimes it's a secretary or administrative assistant. Now you got to use the I'm sorry, you got to use the official. Call them a secretary. They ain't no secretaries no more. Administrative assistant. And then you got to know you got to be available. You got to give up your time where no money is going to be exchanged in your hands for, right? And why is that? Because CEOs, people in power, people influence, right, in influential roles, they need to know that you value what they feel is important. So if they have charities, right, if they have events that you're there, you might even have to spend a little money. And I can tell you how many golf things that I have to pay for round golfs or donate to a cause or a charity of someone's choice. Guys, these are things that happen. These are things that gotta happen in order for your name to be there and mentioned. I'm telling you, these are CEO cheat codes that you don't get. You don't get all the time. And I can tell you, think about it. Think about what I'm telling you. If I'm an elected official, wouldn't I be in rooms that necessarily other folks wouldn't be in? Wouldn't I get phone calls that folks that normally won't get these phone calls, right? I do, right? And sometimes they don't have anything to do with what I'm doing, not a thing. But they know I'm a trusted voice, so they may call me for things. And then look, if I know that Eve could do it, then I say, well, look, that's not the scope of what I do. Of course, you know that because you know me. But I do know Eve, and I got a person for you. And look, they don't have to go and vet another person out when I give that name. That there's not another. They don't even have to get another name, right? Because they got the name from me, right? So that's the power and influence that you want, right? I know Eve is gonna drive her. She's gonna get the numbers. That's why I asked her. She think I was a little goofy, a little crazy one the other day when I started typing stuff like Googleable and everything like that. Uh, but when it comes down to understanding how to scale, how to do things, hey, yeah, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. See, I'm not gonna be one sitting on. Let me try something new on you guys. I'm not gonna be the one sitting on the TV doing one of these ones right here. What's going on? Or this. Can you please help a brother? I've been needing help. I'm not gonna be that guy, right? So look, I appreciate all of the support that I'm getting so far. Thank you people for locking in to me tonight because this is going to be a happy journey for me because I get to. This is therapeutic, as I said before. This is therapy for me to be able to come out and speak about some of these things, right? And when I'm no longer an elected official, and when I'm maybe no longer a CEO, that won't eliminate my knowledge and my influence, right, that I have over folks because I want to be the one that they are almost afraid to make a move without checking with me first, right? Because I know if he don't like it, right, if he doesn't like it, then he might be able to shut us down, and we don't want that, right? That's the power and influence that you want, right? Some people don't. You don't even have to have a trillion dollars like they're trying to do for Elon Musk. Did y'all see that? Elon Musk, his company voted if he make a couple things happen, that he can get $1 trillion. He got to do a few things, but $1 trillion, man, who the hell needs $1 trillion? Who needs it? It ain't about need, but that lets you know that just shows the shift of the world, right? And Nvidia just became the first $7 trillion company, so the largest company in the world. So money is crazy out there, folks. And I'm just telling you what it takes in order for you to get in the rooms to get you a piece of that. All right. Ultimately, you know, and I was thinking about this today. I was sitting in church today. One of my frat brothers, he had service today. We decided we was going to support him. And one thing I thought about today, and you probably have too, and it's not morbidity. It's not being morbid, but you don't have a whole lot of years left on this earth. No matter how old you are, you just don't, right? Why not live that thing out as strong and as hard and as fast as you can right now and enjoying life and reaping all the benefits that you see everybody else doing, right? Why not be one of those, right? Because you don't ever want to look back and say, man, I should have, almost, could have, would have, should have, all that. None of that foolishness, right? You want to be the one living life as hard and as fast as you possibly can. And let me say this one thing too, because I tested this out when I said it the other day. The reason, think about this, the reason you're on the earth, right? And the reason you see the nighttime, or where I am is night right now. The reason I see the night because the earth done turned its back to the sun. Now, we used to say the sun was going up and down, up and down. But guess what? The sun is not moving. The sun is sitting right there in the sky. The movement is happening in the earth. The earth is spinning, not only in a circle, spinning, right? And it's also rotating around the sun. So it's spinning and making you dizzy going around the sun at the same time. But the sun is always there, right? Now, guess what? If I took my mind, if my mind was such that I'm a child of the day, I'm always sitting in the day, only thing I have to do is just take my mind off this earth, as it were, right? And I just elevate myself to be always in the constant presence of the sun. Constant presence of the sun, right? So that means that I'm a child of the day always. And guess what? When you're there, there's really no yesterday. There's really no tomorrow. Be right, because you don't have the sun going up and down now as you thought it was. You're constantly in the presence of the sun. So when is it your day to execute on the things that you hear people talk about? Would it be tomorrow? No, because it wasn't. There's no tomorrow. Would it be yesterday? Nope, there is no yesterday. It's only today. When you make a decision to change your life, it is today. Somebody say, well, I'm going to stop smoking, but I'm going to cut down from a pack of cigarettes to 3. Nope, by the time you really decide, you won't be smoking. You'll be smoking one day and you won't be smoking the next. It, right? Whatever you don't decide to change, you decide to keep. Whatever you don't decide to change, you decide that you have accepted that, right? So if you talk about changing it, but you don't do it, then you've already decided you've accepted it. So again, so once you take yourself off this earth, as it were, in your mind, and be always in the constant presence of the day, then you will see it's only today that you need to execute. It's only today that you need to make these things happen that you hear folks talk about, this cheat code I'm talking about. When are you going to go out and figure out who the decision makers are to make sure that you're in the room, to make sure that your name is not passed over, right? When you going to do that? Today. Let's make it happen. Let's figure out who today that needs to help me to move my vision forward. Who do I need, right? What room do I need to be in? Who do I need to be talking to? And then ultimately, how can I become that influencer, right? That folks are just almost afraid to make a move without talking to me, right? That's where you want to be, right? And then no matter what, right? Even in these TikTok streets, in your personal life, whatever it is, right? You want to be that person to do that, right? You want to be that person to do that. So I am looking forward to all my TikTok world. I hope you are doing well. Yes, I am, Kia. I'm talking to Eve. Okay, you know Eve too. Good. I like that. Yeah, y'all chop it up in there. Y'all chop it up in there. Look, I have. What time is it? Okay, I'm gonna go 6 more minutes because I think I had it on as 8:30 to 6:30. What else can we talk about? What else can we talk about? Business cheat codes. Business cheat codes. So let me tell you a little story. So when I left corporate America, right, and I told my wife, I didn't leave before I told her, but my mind was already gone. So I said, I'm gonna leave corporate America, and I'm gonna go into business for myself. And you ladies will appreciate this statement. She said, "Oh, okay." She said, "Oh, okay." Like, well, okay, yeah, oh, okay, yeah. So, but because you knew, number one, they told me one or two. They told me two things. Number one, it was really a hell no. I don't want you to do it because I was living this great and wonderful, accustomed to eating. Eating was important, right? And having a roof over your head that was kind of cool too. But secondly, she said okay, which means that I have built myself enough trust with her to know that it would be okay. And here we are 14 years later and everything's okay, right? So it is. So everything's been fine, everything's been great. But hey, understand that uh, but so you got to have folks in your corner, right? Folks in your corner that believe and trust in you, but you got to be that one that's trusted. You got to make yourself trusted. You got to be the one that they say, well, every time I look up, you doing something different. You do something new. You can't never keep yourself focused. So you don't want to be that person. you want to be the one that's trusted, right? So when somebody see you making a decision, they say, "Oh yeah, I understand that." And I will say this too: is it's somebody like Eve on here. When you decided to go in and have your own agency, you couldn't tell everybody, right? Because everybody, number one, is not going to be on your side, right? And number two, everybody that they just don't understand your vision. Maybe it's your family and friends, and they see you doing it, and they be like, "Oh, you sure you want to do that?" Because that's because they haven't had the vision. Number one, and number two, that's not that they're hating. It's a lot of times they're just afraid for you because they're afraid for their own self, right? They haven't made big decisions that meant anything, right? And so when they see you doing it, that's not that they're hating. That's just that they can't see themselves doing the similar things. So understand that, but know that you got to keep pushing with your vision. You got to keep pushing through because there's going to be a lot of down and dark days. A lot of down and dark days, right? So I understand that. That's just a part of the game, right? But keep pushing because there's some glory on the other end of that. Some glory on the other end of that that you are going to thank yourself for pushing yourself. And don't be and look, I'm not going to tell you don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make this. I'm going to say you're human. You're going to do that. You are going to walk into decisions where you haven't been, and you're going to benefit from it. You know how I know? You know how I know? Because I tell everybody there is absolutely, listen, there's absolutely no growth if you are comfortable. There's absolutely, you think about it. Every time that you learned something new, it was something new. You didn't know how to do it. You didn't know how to handle it. You didn't know what to think. You didn't know the steps to take. It was something new, but it made you uncomfortable because you did not know everything it was to know about it, right? To be proficient. So, but what happened? You got proficient in that thing, and now that became your new comfort zone. Now it's time for you to tackle something else, right? And guess what happened? Growth happens every time you tackle something new. Because you're gonna continue. Look, if anybody on here got children, you got kids. When you started training your children how to walk, and they fell on their butt, that wasn't the end of it. Nope. You said, look, every other little kid running around, if they got decent legs that they can handle, every other kid running around here, you gonna get up and walk too. And you didn't stop until that child walked, right? And so that's the same thing with you. You're going into something that is very uncomfortable for you, fine. But know this, that you will not, it's impossible for you to grow without being uncomfortable in some way, right? And guess what? The more uncomfortable you are going into a thing, the bigger the reward is on the other end. The bigger the reward. That's why I talk about being in rooms that you may not even feel like you fit in. You know, you're in a room with other billionaires and millionaires and kings and potentates. You know, you in rooms with them like, man, do I belong here? And I'm telling you, KO, yes, you do. Eve, you do. Pam, you belong there. That's your room. Why else would you be there? Why else would you be there? That's your room. You belong there. So my encouragement is for everybody. And look, when I'm encouraging you, I'm also renewing myself, right? I'm also renewing my own encouragement because, as a CEO, as a president, as a whatever it is that you in, if you're the leader of that, oftentimes you have to be the voice of everything, right? Everybody comes to you with the problems. Everybody comes to you with, knowing, figuring that you need to have a solution no matter what. And you may not have it, right? But oftentimes you're the one who needs additional encouragement, right? Now, encourage is something that happens within. And that's, so most of us, who decide to go out and do something, right? Other than what we've accustomed to doing, we're adventurous in a way, right? We have some ability to have courage within that allows us to tackle it no matter what. But we get weary too. We get worn too. We have to take all the problems of everybody else, so and at times we need to be encouraged as well. So your circle, my circle is so small that it's a half a moon. I don't even, it's not even a full circle. It's a half moon, right? I make sure to only encourage, only have people around me, right? That number one, are on a similar journey that I'm on. It's on a similar journey that I'm on. And number two, they can tell me straight up, oh, that's good, that's bad, that's wrong, that's right, that kind of thing. So you need those people in your life. If you don't have those people in your life, then it's gonna be real tough when you need encouragement, when you need backup, when you need support, right? You don't have that because you're human. You're human, and life is about real, true, serious relationships. Whether